on my picture?
Not yet. Hold on a second. Let me try to pull your device. Yeah, it went away for some reason. Is it back on?
No, it says to unplug it. That's what I'm saying. Should I just unplug it and replug it?
Yeah. And we live.
It's done.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I see this?
Oh, not you. The stream is live. I may need to change your device. Let me tell y'all something, man. The difficulty of doing a live is not to be slept on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull Jordan in from a top view for the time being, and then we'll get the whole thing lit. I don't know if anybody's ever done. Have you have you ever done a live before? Like produced a live? It's really a lot. It's always something. I watch people like fight them. Like yeah, they like we had technical difficulties. The last 2 times we've had technical difficulties. So even right now, like we're just having trouble with one of the cameras. And the funniest thing is they're identical cameras. One's tripping, one's rolling. Give me 1 sec. Let me see if I can get Jordan's camera on. Because you can see the top of her head in the other view. 1 second. Hopefully it won't break it this time. It's for whatever reason, it won't hold position. Let me see if I can Yeah. Did anything change in your settings? Did you pull it?
I haven't touched it.
It won't stick for some reason. Hey, let's give you this one, and then I'll take the other cam. Cool? All right. Let's see if you turn it around for a sec. Crazy. But I really want, we've been having a lot of conversation about like transparency and what that can or does look like. Did that kick off too, Jordan?
I don't think so.
I'll do one other thing, and then we can just kind of get rolling. Is the audio back?
Yes, I feel like I can hear it on my side. So tough. I don't understand much about this.
It's a different world.
Jeremy shot a text. He said there's some static.
There's static in audio?
Yeah, it just feels like background noise.
Oh, yeah. It's probably our loudest place. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, it's because I feel like I can literally hear the cars going by outside. So, thank you.
Yeah. All right. I think we got it as good as we're going to get it today. Let's see. Jordan, if you could kind of shift your camera one more time.
Shift it?
Yeah. Yeah, you see what it looks like in the box there. The other way.
This way?
Do you see it in the YouTube side?
Okay. No, it's delay. Let's get started.
All right. Let's run up.
Hey, y'all. I think I just shifted my camera. So we were just trying to make sure that we got set up. As Rashad was sharing a little bit ago, the learning curve for YouTube Live has been like insane. Still not in the camera frame.
I got you.
Our topic today is going beyond willpower to start a new routine. And we were going to talk about this a couple weeks ago. We had major technical difficulties going live with that session. So we're back. We're back at it. I do want to ask the room real quick before we get started maybe if you can share like what brought you here, if it was one of us posting to Instagram, if you are subscribed to our newsletter, if you just are always kind of tapped in, what brings you here, but also what is a conversation that you're looking to listen into a lot right now? Like, what are the topics, I'm just really distracted because I don't know where to put this camera.
Oh, you good. I already got it.
Okay, on YouTube it looks like
Alright,
my
got
face
it.
is cut off. Okay. But yeah, if you have an answer to that question, what you're looking for as far as like community goes, this could be the design community, the creator community, a support community for entrepreneurship, just a transparent community, like a couples community. I just want to know how y'all make work and life come together, why you have chosen certain things. That would be helpful, I think, for us, because we're definitely trying to throw some spaghetti at the wall right now. We are, like so many of us that create, we feel like we're good at a lot of things and we have a lot to talk about, and then you get around to talking about it and it's like, what do I say? So any suggestions there would be very helpful for future mindset shifts and so on and so forth. But we can get into the conversation today. The last time we did this, which was the first time we did this, executed this, we had a lot of really great questions and input on the chat going in. So you can watch that too later. That's still up on YouTube. But to get into the routine talk, I'm just gonna open it up with a new routine that all of us have started, or that we've started. And if I'm really not, I'm gonna be real with y'all, I'm so distracted because I feel like the camera isn't staying connected. I feel like the audio isn't staying connected.
No,
so
that's
forgive me if I'm
that's
like
me shifting a lot of that, trying to compensate for what didn't work initially. So it's cool.
Cool. All right. Yeah, forgive me. I'm trying to like welcome y'all in and
Yeah.
see that everything is fine.
You're just on an isolated cam right now.
Yeah, I see it. That's what distracted me. Routines. I'll start with one, and if anyone in the chat can share something, like if you are you a routine person? Do you want to be more of a routine person? Are you like, nah, I just go with the flow, I do not care to have a routine, or I'm just really a routine in the morning, or I have no routine in the morning, I'm trying to figure that out. I think that could help us figure out where to start the conversation. I'm very much a routine person. I'm very regimented. I have several routines throughout my day that I lean on. It's not always perfect though, and I speak about this a lot. It's not always perfect, but that way, if I get frazzled or if one of my days is super hectic because we're on deadline for something, or we need to travel, or there's people coming to visit us and we gotta, maybe there's a out of office meeting that we need to take on location, we're on set or something, I have these routines that I can stick to. So I got my routine when I'm at home. I got my routine when I need to be somewhere early in the morning. Mm-hmm. I have my routine when I maybe can't get to lunch that day. And I have a routine if things, for the most part, I have a routine if things hit the fan. And I think that that's important for us. So the routine most recently that I've been on is cooking at home. We have been cooking all of our meals at home. And I have spent now probably 4 months trying to figure out my system with that, because it takes so much more time to cook all of your meals at home. And if you've never been used to that, it is such a learning curve, just like this going live. It is, you got to figure out how to have a system for your refrigerator so you're not wasting food, and have a system for grocery shopping so you're not running out of food, and have a system for when you're freaking tired and you don't feel like cooking. All of those things come into play. And so over the last 3 or 4 months, that's been my biggest routine, stick to this so you can figure this out.
Yeah. I think like the routine talk, for the most part, like I think you're so good at like being like regimented, like you really are like just like even when things go off in your day or off in a moment, like you're paying super close attention to that to either fix it or to reset course. And I'm just trying to move through most things, which is the reason that I'm trying to like lock into routine. But I think I mean again, like I don't judge myself to the level or to the standard I think that you do, and to the level that you lean on different versions of that.
Yeah, I think because in my idealistic mind, I just have this idea that I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and I have it all on my calendar because I'm also a calendar and a time blocking person. So I'm like, I have from 10 to 2 set out to do this, and then I'm gonna take lunch, and then and I'm not necessarily accounting for a whole bunch of things to throw me off my schedule, because that's not in my schedule. That's not in my plans for a whole bunch of stuff and interruptions and distractions. I'm like, no, I've already dealt with all that stuff. I'm not a firefighter. I don't like the fire drills. So I try to do whatever it takes to get ahead of all those things. Mm-hmm. And that way I'm like, well, if anything does hit the fan today, it might be these things, like things that I know might hit the fan. Now, sometimes you just have a day and something comes out the woodworks, for real.
It is, right?
Yeah. But I'm more so like trying to be so proactive and preventative with my own time. I'm a firstborn. I was an only child for a very long time. And I'm like, I do what I want to do when I want to do it. And everybody knows.
Yeah. I mean, who was I talking to this about? I was talking to Dondra about this the other day. And she was like, yeah, like Jordan is very much like doing her own thing. And not in a like no connection to the world, but just like you're not the people pleaser type. Like that ain't your bag.
No.
It's almost like you give no fuck about what nobody else wants or needs, you know, like until you're completely satisfied personally. And I think that's a very important trait because it keeps people from being in a spot where they get what they don't have. And I think that's why you're very consistent with delivering what people ask of you. Because you don't offer up what you don't have, the clear bandwidth and clear understanding for how you're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. That's something that I could, peel back the layers on, probably like in therapy, maybe a little bit in this conversation. But I don't know if it's something, we all tend to say, okay, well, it traces back to our childhood. So I have no idea where that comes from. I just definitely like to be in control, and I do not like to overpromise. I do not like to lead people on. I'm not a people pleaser. Yeah. And so when you and I kind of get together, that's why sometimes we have really great, we have a great dynamic. And then sometimes we really do have some contention around, okay, do we need to have our people pleaser hat on in this day, for this moment, for this reason, for this client, or do we need to not have our people pleaser hat on? Because I don't put that hat on enough, but if I think about it as like, well, it's a hat, it's a skill, then cool, I could use it, but I'm not ever like leaning on that for like me walking through life. Nah.
Yeah. Well, do you mind if we shift gears? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I found, I was watching a David Goggins video the other day, and I know people women don't like David Goggins. But anyway, there's evidently like hard evidence that doing hard things improves how your brain and your body and your the momentum that you can build for doing the things that matter are directly correlated to your ability to do the things that you do not like. So I'm really wanting to take a couple minutes, like, and we end up taking a lot of time, like doing some research on this. I mean, trying to set up the slide, but I really wish I spent some time doing the research so I could share it back like on screen. Because I think for the longest, I have the toughest time convincing people to do the stuff that you hate, like in a transparent way, like. And I want to be careful that this doesn't feel like finger pointing or something weird. So if it does, like totally ask the question away. But I had no interest in doing these damn lives. This is Jordan knowing or feeling like this is something we need to do. The production burden is totally mine. And like if I'm struggling or if I fail at it, it's not that she doesn't care, but she doesn't necessarily understand because the production burden isn't hers, right? So inside of that, it's going like, I don't want to do this. So when I do it, and I failed again today because one of the cameras doesn't work, when I do it successfully, I build up a different muscle for myself because I've powered through and fought through doing something that I don't or didn't want to do. And I think so many times, like back to the people pleaser thing, I'm like, dog, that's literally where the growth is. The growth is accepting the challenge to do some shit that you actually are not juiced to do, or something that's not directly in line with what's pulling you towards it. It's going and doing the things that you have no interest in that makes you actually, a hell of a lot better in a lot better position to do that thing when you're challenged with it inside of the things that you want to do. You've built up the muscle to kind of push through that thing. And I think it's weird that I get so many people wanting to fight that part. Does anybody here have like real like experience with that? Like, are you running away from things when they are not easy or exciting, or as you saw it going, or as you saw it playing?
Yeah,
that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I've tried to knock down, like that wall. Like, okay, run into the brick wall. There's something on the other side. Do the hard thing, right? Yeah,
man. Like I can't say loudly enough to anybody how much of all types of success are in the things that nobody goes or gets interested in that industry or that sport or whatever it is. It's the rewards are not where you got interested at. Like you got interested in basketball because you saw somebody making shots. You didn't know you were going to have to run sprints. Because if you knew you had to run sprints, you probably never gotten into it, right? And I think that's a thing that, in terms of, or with my experience with music in particular, that is the most important thing that I found that people get a reality check around. Because they think that, they think it's going to be red carpets and backdoor VIP entrances, and like, no, especially if you're on the executive side or if you're on the management side or whatever that back office piece is, it's very rarely that. In fact, you'll find that when you are an executive, or especially if you're working there, like inside of a label, that most of it's paper pushing, right? You're not even really talking to the artist. And if there is a moment where the artist wants to connect with you, they're just actually spending a couple minutes for you to do this particular thing from them, and you actually don't get a chance to know them or spend actual real quality time unless you're a high-end executive who they see the value of schmoozing with. So I think it's really important for folks to spend some time dealing with their truth about why they want to get into things.
Yeah, I just asked a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Well, I started a poll just to see if you all habit stack. A lot of times that I'm able to push through a routine and stay consistent with it is that I am habit stacking, and or I'm almost gamifying something, or I have built in like a reward for me. Yeah. So okay, my reward for such and such is being able to do this later, and so it almost helps my mind gamify hurry up and get through this so you can do this later. But then often you got to be careful about that, because we'll reward ourselves with something that is counterproductive, like, eating the wrong thing or indulging in something that then is not, it's just, you got to be careful about what that, what you're habit stacking with.
What is habit stacking?
Yeah, it's so it's like you're going to be doing something anyways. And so something simple is, okay, well, I want to start maybe like listening to calm music in the morning so I could like make sure my cortisol levels stay low. And so I'm going to brush my teeth, fix my hair, be in the mirror at some point doing, putting on some moisturizer or whatever. So listen to your calming music during the things that you're already going to be doing. So then habit stacking, also something that I did that helped me with the cooking routine, that and threw in kind of a reward, was like, I'm going to listen to some of my favorite podcasts. I'm going to save them for just when I'm cooking dinner, or learn or not learn, but or grab a great TV show that you want to catch up on and do that while you're walking on the treadmill, or do that while you're cooking dinner. And your brain, after you do that for like a week or so, you kind of start liking the other habit that you're trying to, even if it's not the most enjoyable,
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw something about that. It was really, I think that really became a thing when streaming on your phone really got lit. So people were like taking their phone or taking whatever they have as a device. It might have been an iPad at the time too, and like watching their TV shows while they're on the treadmill or while they're on, the bike. I'm just like thinking about like why that may not have been a thing in previous generations, or just the awareness of it.
Yeah. I think about other things too that y'all do that y'all could be multitasking, because some stuff you can't relate, especially if we're working. And I think Alyssa and Yanni both mentioned our working routines, my work routine. And I was trying to pinpoint, well, what about the work routine is kind of off? If it's like the afternoons are off for me, or I'm just trying to figure out how to like manage the project through, there could be a lot to that. But think about something you can do multitasking. Sometimes we can't multitask when we're working. Like for me, I can't listen to lyrical music when I'm doing certain things. I can't listen to or watch TV shows. Like there's very few work tasks that I could do.
I ain't gonna lie, like I think there's a certain practice that needs to precede whatever you're going to try and accomplish, so that you can multitask. Meaning, like, if I'm in a design session, I can kind of watch TV as long as I'm not trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be designing. So there's like a piece of it where it is figuring out like what the art and the direction is, and I realized over time that that was a separate job, and that was why. So I think sometimes if we break apart different things, we can understand how we multitask. But when we don't have a clear separation on the actual task at hand, like the front-facing task, we can't separate out the parts that are actually consuming the most amount of like mental focus or energy. Because it really ain't that hard to multitask if you release some of your thinking to some other things, some of the tasks that you don't have to be present with. And I'm probably not doing a good job of explaining exactly what it is, but the designers would know. Like anybody who's making stuff for a living, you would know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, I think you design a little bit more than me. And so therefore I feel most of my days at work, I really have to be, I have to be super zenned out. Like I need to have all of my creative brain space open, because I'm actually not creating. I'm trying to solve like problems, and so that way I can tell the creators and the executors and the designers like what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Go
ahead.
No, I mean, I was just gonna probably prompt with another question.
Right, Alyssa. How do you say your name? Am I saying that properly? Raire Pomodoro technique with habit stack. What is that?
I think that's where you set your timer for 20 to 25 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, and then you do.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong too, but like you do a 5 or 10 minute break, and then you start the timer over, and you like focus in, no distractions for 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, short burst. So I'm doing that. That's crazy. How do y'all be knowing the names of different things? Like, I just know
because people listen to. I mean, it's on all of the podcasts and books and like all of like anyone discussing or like sharing productivity things, hacks, like Pomodoro technique is there. Like it's top of the list.
It's just that I don't know the names of them.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's interesting. Like I realize.
But I think the Pomodoro technique, and again, if any, like let me know. And I can look it up. But I believe it's like a shorter sprint.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like setting my timer for like, okay, I got 2 hours, like, and I do this,
That's so crazy.
Because a lot of times I feel like I need more than 20, 30 minutes or my sessions are a bit longer, but still, okay, after that, cool, get up and like do something.
Yeah. See,
MQ.
Yeah.
Y'all funny.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that like where I entered like learning from the internet. Like I've been on the lifestyle I have today, I've had for the last 15 years, and I realized people just began living closer to how we function now during or after the pandemic. Because I think everybody was like going for a drive to relieve stress, and nobody was working from home. So it's like just not present with me that these names are the ways that things are introduced. It was just like, well, here's how I'm making this type of drop shipping company work in 2010. And I'm listening to this type of conversation in 2012. And so that's why none of those, I guess, titles work. There was one that's Pareto rule.
I don't recall
That's
that.
the 80-20 thing. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's the 80-20.
80-20.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be interested to see how you all are managing too when you're not motivated. And how, what are some of like the hacks that you have that pull you out of, the rut? I hate there's this whole thing right now, like I'm on YouTube a lot, like getting out of a rut, and it's like I feel like everybody's always like, I'm getting out of a rut every Sunday, and it's like, I guess maybe you're always in a rut. And I gotta be careful too, because I feel that I have sometimes I'm on my own mentality, and I just kind of stay in my bubble, and I'm trying to fix my problems sometimes and not like ask for help or not be transparent that I'm struggling. I might not even realize that I'm not struggling, or I'm struggling when I'm not motivated, or I'm not feeling very disciplined, or I have fell off my routines. I usually use that as a sign to do a new routine. Like to change up my routine.
This is what we were talking about the other day, and I'm fixing the cameras, guys. So nothing's wrong. I'm just fixing the camera. But yeah, I agree with you that that's a thing that we were literally talking about the other day, and it's something that can you share more, like why you might make that choice?
To start, like, not to start another routine, but just I'll switch to another routine.
Right.
I think change is good, and I use that as a moment, like if I feel like I'm in a rut, I'm having creator's block, or I just feel like, just things, I haven't been happy. It might just be as like, I just haven't been happy. Okay, well, I feel like I need to do something different because what's working, or I've been doing is not working. So, okay, let me flip my morning routine. So just recently, a couple weeks ago, I started to not go to the gym first thing in the morning that I love. I love to just wake up in the morning, go to the gym. If I don't do it at the top of the day, I'm not going to get it done. A couple weeks ago, I'm noticing that I just don't feel as productive in my work routine because I'm like spending even too much time in the gym and in my morning routine. So let me have a 2-hour session when I wake up in the morning, I know something the day before or the week before what I'm going to work on in the mornings. So from about 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning, I have a work session. It might be writing, it might be editing, I don't know, whatever I got to do that day, but I have it predetermined. I don't wake up and then decide what I'm going to do because that's like a disaster. So I switched that. And for the past couple weeks, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. But when I want to go back to working out first thing in the morning, that's there for me.
Right.
I think one thing that I do want to share is like, we live in these environments that tell us to go, do all these things, go over here, go over there, be over there, like do all of this stuff. Do, buy, go, see, all of this stuff. And I'm kind of at a point right now, I'm in my era where I'm trying to slow everything down. I'm not in a rush. It's like when we decided to not have cars in New Orleans and I gotta walk now places. Most places I gotta walk or I'm depending on rideshare to take me there. And I'm gonna low key get there when I get there. There's no rushing and getting behind the wheel and rushing and speeding over here and kind of low-key running lights over here or, you know, rolling stops. I don't do that anymore. Right. When I walk, I have a pace. If I have a meeting and I got to walk a few blocks to take the meeting, I'm going to get there when I get there because I'm not running. I'm not just going to speed up my car, my body to run to the meeting. And I say all that to say, just trying to slow myself down a lot. I think that I've moved fast through some things and it's thrown a lot of my routines off in the past and it's made me feel really chaotic. And I'm learning now that, you know, I am really officially in my mid-30s. I'm like, yeah, nah, I do not function well in chaos. I refuse.
Yeah, I think I'm responding to a comment too. Around like if I'm not motivated, because all this is the same thing. It's like it's like either a mental feedback loop that folks are looking for, and I'm like, man, ignore that thing that you're trying to do to make yourself feel like it's right, it's good, it's easy, it's flowing. Like, no, like, forget about that as a total input because you'll literally only work when it's easy or convenient or when it's good, and you have to work to develop the opposite muscle. Because I would argue that it's never a good time. It never feels good.
You're saying to work through it?
Whatever it might be. Like, I don't know that, like, so we've been doing cold showers for a long time. At this point, you don't even remember life. I don't even think you can remember not having that in your toolkit. You've been doing this all.
Oh, I mean, I can't remember. That's why I keep doing it.
Right? So how do you feel like right before you do it? Like what's your mindset? Like what's the narrative?
Now my narrative is it's that time. Like let's go. Like this is my barrier to entry for the day. This is my ticket to go have a good day because this is going to make me better on the other side. I think about it like that now. I don't think about it like I'm not intrepidated by the cold rinse anymore. It's a prerequisite for me to start my day, most of them. I don't do them on the weekends, y'all. Yay! So I take Saturdays and Sundays off from the cold rinse, but I do them faithfully Monday through Friday. About 30 seconds. It's not a cold shower. It's just a rinse.
But so are you able to see through to like the benefit of doing it? Is that
now I am before I do it. Like when I first started doing the cold rinses, it felt like it was a punishment. You know, I was so in my head about like
the present
the
punishment.
shock. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm suggesting is like if you know that there is a long-term benefit, like you know if I do this, if I suffer through this pain for 10, 15, 20 minutes, in that particular instance, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, I'm going to get a day's worth of benefit from it. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's just taking a presence of mind to bring it into whatever's going on currently and go like, all right, let me do this thing even though it sucks right now. On the other side of it is going to be so much glory, so I'm going to do it. And if that doesn't work for you, like the super achiever goes like, and even if it don't come, like it's okay because I'm going to do it again and eventually, like if it takes 3 years, if it takes 10 months, if it takes 10 years, I'm just going to continue to like go walk into the fire of it all. But I also, with being able to be around so many smart women, it's tough to like push on more like male narratives. So I want to be careful here because I realize too, a lot of the comments are coming from women. And you guys operate in a very, very different world. Yeah.
Let me say something. Like as I've become the age that I am now, and I'm gonna start wearing it like a badge now because I'm like, wow, I am about to be 34. These are just in the last 4, 5, 6 years, just how my body has changed, how my mind has changed, and things that were like my self-work, but also things that happened to me that were out of my control. But I would even share, and I have listed in the show notes, like making your personal habit stacks, because yes, there's so many productivity hacks and things that we can pick up on from other people, but you really then have to go do the work to make it your own and then stick with it long enough to understand, well, what does this really look like for me? Because that's how I got into even meditation, is I was trying to figure out, well, I don't like these kinds of meditations, but there's got to be a kind that I like because so many people talk about they do this, like they can't be wrong. But to, the women in the room, yeah, it's been interesting too for me to be in such a personal journey, like right in front of you, Rashad, because you've had a lot of stuff together, like way more together than I have over the last like 3-4 years.
Yeah, way ahead in terms of time.
And yeah, but to heal in front of somebody who has already like kind of done their work,
who's died, and
it's been tough, like in its own way. I think that it would be interesting to have this parallel universe where I was healing and I was like also alone. Like how would I have done that? Like what? But anyways, that's beside the point.
That's a great. I mean, I would love to pick that up even further, but go on. I don't want to distract.
No, it's just I think the whole thing about like women and how we're programming and how like what our narrative is. I think that we do think a lot differently, but there's a lot of things I think that we can take from the men mentality, and there's a lot of things that men can probably take from a woman's mentality, but they're still two different things. But just even to the sake of, we're talking about work routines, personal routines, and I'm here to be transparent about my own stuff. Like I am very in tune to my cycle now. Like I never did that because I just, number one, y'all, I wasn't really interested in it. I didn't have time to be like, sometimes when you're in survival mode and you're just trying to figure stuff out, you're not doing all the things. And now I'm very in tune to, okay, well, this week I'm going to need more of this next week I'm going to be doing more of that. And those things are just helpful to be in tune with. I know that a lot of you all can relate, but that's just my point towards like personal habit stacking, and then based on your lifestyle, just everything, like how you want to present yourself, how you identify, like what your goals are, build your habits around that. It ain't got to look like what we all read. It doesn't have to look perfect. It needs to look perfect for you.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of like, and I agree with you that you can only do what you can do. And I don't know if I empathize with the experience of like, because I want to also like respond to that I want to know the answer to the why do you take breaks on the weekend with the cold shower. I do want that answer, so I want to put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Go ahead actually.
Okay. No, thank you for asking that. So I take breaks on the weekends because I did this for so long, like every day, and to the point where I feel like I was maybe getting used to the cold rinse, where I just didn't have no days off from it. So I mentioned earlier, I like to try to habit stack my routines and throw in a little reward. So that is a part of a reward for me, is that there's 2 days a week on the weekends that I don't have to do the cold rinse. Right? That's my reward for doing it Monday through Friday. Do not skip days.
Right.
So like, in all honesty, and this might be TMI for whoever's in the room, but okay, I'm starting my cycle today, like today, this morning, and I'm still going to get in the cold rinse. You think that's the last thing that I want to do, but I know I'm going to be able to take off on this weekend.
So you're already thinking about the reward.
Yeah, like it's just programmed into me now. No, so, okay, wait, let me read the other question.
Because that's where I was about to go. The second one?
Zakat, yeah, what she said?
Yeah.
So does having a witness to your healing feel validating or challenging? In my experience, it was incredibly difficult. That's why I wouldn't trade it, right? Rashad, you've been an amazing partner for the things that I've been through, especially just the last 8 months. Like I've just been through some stuff, like health stuff, family stuff the last like 8 months. Okay, cool. Like you've been a witness to one of the most difficult years of my life. And I'm like, okay, while I've had support 100%, that's a very different blessing than someone who I'm still just like, I wish I could go. I just wish I didn't have to deal, right? Because Rashad's very optimistic. Rashad is very like
relentlessly optimistic.
Yeah, so me having to drag myself through depression and dark days, like I don't want to get out of the bed, or I was very sick recently, like all of these things, and feeling like I'm bringing somebody else down, or I'm having to like decide, like, am I just tripping because he seems like he's fine and we're having this joint experience, but I am not experiencing this like he is, and am I going to feel bad about that? Like, and so that, yes, it was challenging more than it was validating, because a lot of times Rashad wasn't like, you know, what you're going through is valid, and kind of like rubbing me on the back. He was like, oh, we got bills to pay. Like, so I'm like, it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, I think so, because there's this point of view too, right? Where not just about that, but just like my own separate experience. And Z, you've known me my entire adult life, right? And I would say that because I've experienced so many valleys, I'm absolutely 1000% clear that having someone there is infinitely better than the opposite. And while you're in it, like, you think that, yeah, I would rather, like, I don't want to have to look at the mirror that having somebody there provides, or get support out of sympathy and all of those things that in those dark mind states, your self-deprecating narrative is so loud, and whatever you throw it against, it bounces back at you 2-3 times harder. So I understand that to be your experience, and I understand personally, like, both sides of it. And
I like that breakdown, because you're validating that what I went through was, my thing. But I think to anybody who in that, I get really scared to share certain experiences that I've had, because I just feel like people are going to be like, nah, you just have it so good. Like, just, what are you complaining about? And then I'm
exactly
like,
right. That's exactly
like, it's not easy. It doesn't matter.
I remember there was a time when my favorite story for myself was, like, I remember, like, having $50 with a 50 grand on the way or something like this. The story was so bad now in hindsight. Not bad in that the reality of what it was, and how I literally had like a frozen pack of string beans, but it's no longer like the resurrection story that it served me during that time, or how it served me after for a little while, right, until I reached deeper and more devastating lows. But the difference was, like, that story, I was alone. The story of losing 100 grand, is way worse and way more glorious because it was with you. So I literally, it's coming to my mind so clear enough. I'm like, oh, that's the perfect way to try to button it up, but it might require both stories going in depth, which I'll spare everybody the time. But the bottom line is, it feels more present in here and in here to go through something and recover something with someone, because there's something about that trauma bond that's better, and that shared experience that's more valuable.
Yeah. No, you're hitting the nail on the head, so I don't even have any rebuttal to that.
Yeah. I mean, let me see, the dopamine regulator point, that was fantastic. Yeah. I think there's like also a real, yeah, that's crazy. What I'm curious about is, do people generally have a good control or understanding for how they set targets and how they feel about accomplishing them? Because I think that the delayed gratification thing is present with all of us, but not scored properly in an environment where there's multiple people that you're working with. So what I found is, like, I can wait a really long time for it to come. But I understand that that's the key to success.
No, you
Most
can't.
people,
That's why you eat all your snacks at once.
I'm not good at, like, once I'm on the high, like, I have to wean myself back off the high. But I understand that the nature of, like, a successful business, the nature of a successful relationship is going, like, this is going to take 10 years for it to get there. This is going to take 15 years for it to get there. This is going to take 5 years to get there. And I think people want things to be done or set or right in a day, in a week, in a year. And it's like, no, it's much longer time horizons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole money long success story is 3 versions of time. It is, okay, it's taken me 12 years to find the group of people that I'm comfortable with, and I've experienced enough elsewhere to know what I'm looking for. So, okay, I'm gonna find this team. So, like, that's time to figure out craft, a lot of different things, right? Then from start of project to breakthrough has a time span, 2.5 years. So it's like, you put out record 1, record 2, record 15, and there's no hit. Do you quit? You have to, like, understand that. It's like, all right, well, there's there. Then there's, like, from there to, like, second hit. Like, what happened? So you got the first record, then there's 3 records in between, then you get another hit. And maybe it takes 20 more records between that and the next hit. Who knows, right? And I'm just saying that because it's one that people wouldn't actually, paint me with familiarity with because of the proximity. But the reality is, all of us are doing that very same thing. When we talked about the losing 100 grand, like, it's knowing that flipping that into saying, I understand that this is an investment that has a return and a time horizon return for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Yes, Jeremy, to your point, like, we never lost the 100,000. We all still had the same business mindset and hunger you have today, 1,000%, because it took that on the front side, because that was the intention. The intention was to create a demonstration and prove ability, and what happened on the other side was it didn't happen. For me, I woke up the next day just tired, but I was moving through it. Jordan was fucked up. Understandably, though.
You was going out that same. You weren't going out that night, but you went out to network that same night, and my best friend had to, like, tuck me in the bed. Like, she was in town, and, like, I was like, girl, I can't even. I left her out on a limb.
Yep. And fast story, like I remember when I was 20, I told this story about like doing these Magic Johnson parties and all of this, right? Did I ever tell you a story about the dude losing $250,000 of somebody else's money and his own?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So we're in Tampa for Super Bowl. This must be, I don't know. I'm a baby. This is my first like major event. I think I've taken you by the aquarium. Like, yeah, we built the tent over here. You can't see it, but I'm doing my thing. Like, we built the tent over here. Anyway, we built this build out, and our events are Saturday and Sunday. There's somebody else who has the venue on Thursday and Friday. And so we go by to see how it's going for them. They're modeling what we're telling or sharing with the venue manager or whatever it is, and like they have a reasonable or a comparable expectation for what this is going to be on the other side for them. So Pat and I go in, and it's an aquarium, so it's like it's got like big shark tank, you know, like you can walk around and like it's a shark tank. Like imagine being in the party, you know, you dancing with sharks. This was this type of incredible vibe. Anyway, we go in and ain't nobody dancing to nothing. The DJ is wrapping up cables. We like, yo, it's 11:30. We walk to the back where the sharks are, the shark tank is. This dude is on the ground in his suit, face down, face planted, crying. So I'm learning the game right then at 20. I don't think I'm old enough to even be doing this part. Just turned 21. 21 years, I'm going like, oh, that's what losing looks like. That's what losing all your money looks like. That's what losing and having everybody else's embarrassment. So when I saw you, I was like, oh, that's what you feel like. But I already knew what it looked like, so I didn't have, not already had plenty of losses before that too. But
Yeah.
I had like context on how you prevent yourself or provide enough cushion for yourself so you never have to be that dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is why I always keep cash too, by the way.
You do. I think that, yeah, and back to just kind of rounding out the conversation is like, I think that I'm getting the sense of your stance, Rashad, is, you know, routines are not easy. They're not automatically built in, and we don't come with a blueprint a lot of the times, and we need to be shifty because there's a lot that could go wrong, and there's a you know, an upside to all of the stuff, all of the things. But routines aren't easy. So to approach a lot of things with the mindset, you know, that it's going to be difficult, and decide for yourself that you're not going to wait to be motivated, you know, and then have grace, like, right. Have the grace that things are going to be rocky, or there's going to be some days or even months at a time where you're just kind of off, but just keep showing up. And I think that that's something that we preach over here, is to continue to show up, even if you only like the saying is like, even if you only have 20% that day, bring your 20%,
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So I don't know that I have much else we can, you know, kind of start to wrap. If anyone has any questions, obviously, like, we're super open for that. Yeah, like this has been a really bomb chat, and hearing all of the comments has been dope. I know that some of the things that I've learned just from being a business owner and going through something, you know, just growing up and learning, you know, that I don't know it all, and then knowing that there's so much more to learn, and the opportunity is there for us. All of this information is at our fingertips. It's just been like really dope for me. And yeah, I'm Routine Ray though. I am Routine Ray for sure. He's not Routine Rashad.
Yeah.
You know, you got a few, but
I'm very planned. I'm very long term. I'm very much at every step. I'm seeing where it's supposed to go. So if something falls out of order in the short term, it doesn't really bother me that much because I know I got enough room to correct it. And I think that points back to like the losses and all the rest of that, and just shifting perspective and time horizons. Because you feel like it needs to be ready right now,
then you're going to experience right now frustration. And I don't see any benefit to being, what's the right word, sad prematurely or broken down prematurely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
no, this is great.
yeah, we can wait a few more. I know that there's a lag between like what we're experiencing and the stream. So if there's any questions and or like suggestions for another podcast episode, any constructive feedback, like you can send that in the chat. You can send that to us separately, or send us a DM or text, or however you want to reach us. That would be so helpful, because we're really just trying to figure all of this out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Real quick, because I know some people are probably not to jump to,
Yeah.
We want to start to be on time, but before I answer that question, because this is a huge topic for me, this is one of the first times I've committed to learning in front of people. And so I want to say this very clearly, like, I had a camera fail. I'm on a camera that I hate. I feel like I look ridiculous in the camera, right? The first version of me would be, or the previous version of me would be embarrassed by not having a spotless production because of my own reputation, how I think about myself, right? And how I want to be perceived. And so I realized that I'm losing the ability to develop more authority with people because they think that things are coming easy. They think that things are natural. They have these narratives about how they come. And so I'm asking, like, yo, join us in sharing how we came to be. Let's do things together. And it's just not lost on me that you gave us some of your time. So I'm really deeply, personally thankful for that. And, most of the folks here I know personally anyway, so you know how we behave. But again, I'm grateful that, you stuck around and we're having this conversation. But to the question that Z just posed, how do you turn off work and rejuvenate without the guilt and pull back to the guilt and
Pull back to it when you work from home.
Work from home, that's what that is. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, got it.
Work from home.
Got it. I'm not interested in turning off.
He sure ain't. I'm glad he ain't sugarcoating shit.
I'm not interested in turning off. I am interested in recovering as quickly as possible. So I think those two things are the best answers to everything. I don't know how to paint that any differently, but it's like when folks are trying to find a reward in doing nothing, they're so off base, and it's bizarre to me that people keep trying to do it. Like, you never feel better after a vacation. You never do. Never have. But you're going to keep trying to do it because that's what the marketers have sold you.
I think it goes back to the point I made earlier on the environment around us and our economy and what's marketed to us. And I don't want to sound like this, woo-woo or conspiracy type of person. Like, I'm really not that. I'm just like, we have to make up our minds for ourselves what's best for us every single day that we decide to do this thing. And we're here and we're trying to make a difference. We're trying to find purpose. And there's so many distractions. I think that over the last, especially, the pandemic, going through basically year one of our business during a pandemic was insane. And if you know of any business owners who just had recently gone into business for themselves, and then there's no looking back once this pandemic hits, right? That's just a turning point for so many of us. No matter what we do professionally or how our families are built, it was a turning point. And I'm just saying all that to say, just trying to build up the resilience to distractions and escapism. I am not going to feed into escapism and that, how do I build escapism into my everyday life? Like I have the tools and I have the bandwidth and the ability to just do that for myself. So my escapism is, you know, right now it's sleep meditation, it's breath work. And it sounds like all of these things that, oh, it's going to take me more time to do that. And it's like, no, this saves me time because I don't break down as often. But I do turn off because I will, you know, I do like to have I try to have this 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 like work effort, because for so long when we first started the company, I didn't. And I worked around the clock. It was just nonstop, go. And I just don't think it has to be like that. But my brain, I'm still might be thinking about projects, maybe if I'm cooking dinner, or I might come up with a solution, like if I'm in the shower or something like that. While I'm working out, like those are great moments to be like, oh, I have an idea, or oh, this is how I can respond to that email, or oh, this is what I could share over to this person. But I like to be done and like turn my computer off. Sometimes even the act of just turning my computer off at night helps.
But that's in your recovery though, is it not?
No, I think I like to think of it as okay, but to Zakai's point, like I did spend years where I felt bad for posting to Instagram if I hadn't like followed up with a client, or I felt bad if we were traveling somewhere, right? Like we're headed to the Grammys or something, and like I felt like I couldn't share those experiences because I felt that there was other things that I hadn't got to yet, because not everything is ever done. Nothing is like ever done. There's always something to follow up on, always more that can be done, and I just felt guilty for a long time. Like I've archived all my posts on Instagram at this point because I'm just sick of Instagram. But I had this post that I literally talk about. Yeah, I think this was like late 2022. So by this time we had already had team members. We'd already done some of our biggest, you know, had done a lot of big projects by that point. At the end of 22, I was saying on this post on Instagram, I just figured out how to compartmentalize like my work and like my personal life, because I am a person. Like I'm a human. I'm not this like person sitting around on email all day. So I think I definitely like to think of it as like I did what I needed to do today, but I try to make sure that I'm prepared and I have those routines to show up during the day, and I'm like knocking stuff out. So I know like this project. And Rashad, we just talked about this earlier today. When I'm 100%, I'm showing up and I'm showing the hell out. That's why I take care of my stuff first.
That's right. That's the recovery.
But it's like checking out. But okay, anyways, I think that answers the question.
I feel like it's the same. I feel like it's the same stuff in a different package. Right? I feel like it's the exact.
No, I don't, because I live with you and you don't turn off.
I am one of the most intense recover people that I know. Like I spend all of my time is literally recovery. The way that I'm seeing it. Cause it's like the meditation, recovery, separating from ideas. Like I'm spending so much time in that. So if I was literally able to clock or calculate what's going on with my mind, it's like, all right, what share of it is learning, what share of it is active execution, what share of it is recovery. I'm sure it looks exactly like yours. But it's like, again, I feel like it's packaging, but we're never going to agree.
Yeah, it's language. It's what yeah. See, it's packaging, y'all. It's branding. It's marketing. He never turns off.
Like, well, no matter everything y'all got, every bag that you got, this is getting dust now. All them shoes that you wanted so bad, the baby doll you wanted so bad, it's all marketing, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks for another Mindset Shift. This is an extension of the Stay Sharp podcast, obviously hosted by Rashad and myself. We do have a plan to have guests on in the future and things like that. We're just building, and we got to figure out all these like weird kinks and like all of this stuff before we get a whole bunch of other people involved. So we're working on it. Definitely appreciate everybody's responses, questions. Amazing.
It's been great. Thank
Much
y'all
love.
for real. Okay.